In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. Imagine that, a future that's super black. Long as your skin brown, your superpowers intact. What would your powers be? Just hope it ain't super whack. Spatial manipulation, create a portal that's black. Maybe just super speed, time travel to run it back. Or cheat manipulation to keep my spirit intact. As I encounter evils the world face, demons the world makes, I needed the world at stake. Rest in peace to Chadwick, they killed all the Black Panthers. Told us white lies, I still marvel at black answers. Suits in DC, pray it lead to a civil war. It ain't no Justice League, what's the need to be civil for? Propelled like the juggernaut, it's clear ain't no stopping this. The world in grave danger, who can stop the apocalypse? They killed all the heroes, the new ones don't really care. But if you need me, put your fist up in the air. Yeah, in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black. In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Flying high, I emerge through the flames. Have no fear, I'm here, so stand back. Melanin activate, the name is super black.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to Blurred's Eye View Fury's Reaction Reviews. And if you like, and if you haven't already, hit that notification bell on the YouTube channel. And if you listen to us in your car or at work, yes, you can do it at work. You can hear us on the iHeartRadio, and you can also subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can check us out on YouTube and Twitch as well. Check the link in the bio on IG and give us a follow. But tonight we have something special. We're doing a review, but we're touching up on some other news that dropped off this week. But before we do this, we got to pay a couple bills. We're going to show, thanks to our partners over at Paramount Pictures, we have a new 5 digital codes to give away. Well, actually 3 because our guest's getting one. For Gasoline Alley, starring Devon Sawa, Luke Wilson, and Bruce Willis. Here's the trailer for that.
What's your name?
Sorry.
We need to talk to you about the 4 dead girls.
You ever seen these girls before?
My suspect?
That's yours, right?
The lighter, it was found at the crime scene. We got motive, we got access.
Cops wanted to confirm you were on your way to see me last night. The bald one. He thought I'd be all bent about you flirting with those 4 girls.
Why don't you tell me who you think's involved?
I had nothing to do with it. I got someone trying to pin a bunch of murders on me.
In broad daylight?
I'm not going back inside, especially not for something I didn't do. What am I into?
Show business, son.
I don't think you're involved in this any more than somebody wants you to be.
That source I told you about when she was abducted.
I told you to be ready.
That is Gasoline Alley Stone, Ron Sawa, Bruce Willis, and Luke Wilson, and it's available now on digital and on demand. In this action-packed thriller, Jimmy Jane, played by Devon Sawa, is a reformed ex-con and the prime suspect of a savage Hollywood murder, with homicide detectives Freeman, played by Bruce Willis, and Vargas, played by Luke Wilson. Close on his tail, Jimmy is determined to prove his innocence no matter what it takes. You can buy or rent Gasoline Alley and watch it today, rated R, from Paramount Pictures. But how can you get a free digital code? Well, just hit #ActionStar on the show or on the post that we make and on IG, and you will get a digital code. And up until that point, we are good to go. How's it going? We have two guests with us tonight. We have Jay Rich from Official J1 Studios coming back and talk about all stuff geeky today. How's it going, Jay Rich?
Yo, I am chilling like a villain. I am busy and I'm tired.
But it's all for the cause. It's all for
it's for the cause. It's always for the cause, but sometimes the cause ain't for me. Oh
man.
Don't mind me.
And we also have Grounded Geek from World Gone Geek. How's it going?
Good, man. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited. I'm so pumped after seeing that movie today. So
we got so much to talk about today. But first, before we get to that main piece, can I just say, welcome home. Welcome home.
This is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Welcome home.
Yes. Welcome
finally
home.
on Disney Plus, right?
Finally, March 16th, Disney Plus. They are coming home. And they're not the only ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Defenders and Punisher, they're all coming to Disney Plus. Now, if people are wondering how this is possible, considering the fact the content of Disney Plus and the content of the Marvel X Netflix series of all those concerned, they will be adding parental controls to their streaming service so you can watch. So that means everybody's now. The doors are open, which is how they were going to do Deadpool anyway. Welcome home, everyone. Welcome freaking home.
Ooh, that's trouble. That's trouble. Does that mean you put Kill Bill on there? Because whenever Disney needed to do anything grimy or dirty, they would just put it on Miramax. So
Touchstone Pictures sometime. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So what are your thoughts, man? I mean, it happened much sooner than I thought. Number one, this was supposed to happen. Well, they had already said that it's leaving Netflix March 1st. All the shows leave March 1st, but they will show up in Canada just a couple of days later, in certain parts around the world. So we were just like, okay, well, if Canada's getting it, we got to get it, but everybody was thinking, oh, it'll go on Hulu. It's a little more mature content you can get away with on Hulu. And the mouse said, hold on, don't press that button just yet. We're adding another feature.
Money. The money talks. I mean, come on, let's be honest. What would you rather do? If you had to choose one, because sometimes people have to choose one. Everybody owns Netflix at this point. Let's not dance around the dog. Yeah. Like we all know, everybody got Netflix. But if you had to make that Sophie's choice between like Hulu and Disney Plus, I'm going with Disney Plus, bro. Like
no question. Well, they do have a bundle, right, where you can get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus or something. Yeah. So some people might jump on that if that was the case. But I'm with you. I thought it was going to Hulu for sure because they don't care about any of the content. They'll do whatever over there. They'll do Pam and Tommy's sex tape movie over there. So yeah, they don't have any qualms about showing violent Marvel films.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
it was something we very much needed, and everybody can breathe with a sigh of relief because there were so many people who were like, "Oh, I've never watched all the shows. I got to hurry and watch all the shows." And
where are these people, and where have they been for the past? Like,
it's like what, 5 years
now? How many years?
Like you had almost a year and a half stuck in a house and you couldn't even watch the show.
Right.
Well, I just hope that means they're gonna maybe continue a couple of them that definitely deserve to be continued. That's what
I believe I believe they'll continue the Daredevil series, which chef's kiss, Punisher, and hopefully Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I think everybody deserves a go again, except for Iron Fist, because we got Shang-Chi now, so we can just do that.
But I'm with you, but the way they ended Iron Fist actually got me excited about where it was headed. Do you know what I mean? Like up to that point, yeah.
Wasn't that supposed to be like the Midnight Suns? Like,
oh no, they were pushing for Heroes for Hire, and then you had Connie and Misty, and fans were just wanting Daughters of the Dragon at that point.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking Midnight Suns because he started using putting the magic in the guns and stuff like that. And like, I was like, all right, so is he gonna team up with like Punisher, and then they're gonna get magic in his gun?
Let's not do that Punisher thing again. Oh, that was such a weird time.
It was a weird time. But we were willing to take risks back then. We were willing to take the risk. Now everybody's too afraid.
Yeah,
everybody's afraid.
I honestly believe that they'll try to, at least as far as Iron Fist, and knowing the stuff that went on behind the scenes that led up to, like, it wasn't the look of the actor. It was just, dude, you didn't really fight that much,
Right.
For like one of the best martial artists in Marvel, you didn't really put up a fight.
No. and you really, and to be honest, he really only shined like in 2 episodes, and it was with him and Luke. Yeah, 13. It was when him and Luke team up, and it was like, yes, we want to see that, and we finally got it. Patty cake.
And the end of his season, where he started like fighting for the right to be Iron Fist. Then he started actually wearing
the mask and everything. Yeah,
he had the white version of the uniform and stuff like that. I was like, okay, all right, here we go. We're getting somewhere. It took long enough.
Yeah, well, it was. But by that time, Connie had stole the show. Misty stole the show. It was like
Misty
Colleen was stealing it. Colleen and Misty, they were just like, can we just get Daughters of the Dragon and let's walk away with that?
Well, and that's how it ended, right? Like she took a step to the forefront at the end of that second season.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, now I'm actually interested in this show. And they're like, I'm like, I suffered through until this point. Now you've given me something I want to watch. And of course you're going to cancel it. So,
yeah.
You know why? Because a lot of them were afraid, and Marvel was afraid to go mystical with a lot of this stuff because they were afraid of dragons. Perfect example that people don't realize is Fin Fang Foom was hinted in the MCU in Iron Man 3 because whenever what's his name used his powers, what was his name?
You talking about I can't think of his name.
Mandarin?
Yeah.
Every time he used his powers, if you pause it, especially in the third act, when he takes off his shirt, the markings on his body are not burn marks like on everybody else. They're actually tattoos of 2 dragons.
Yeah.
And he breathes fire as one of his attacks against Iron Man. All they were trying to do is figure out a way to make Fin Fang Foom before they were like, hey, he's a human representation of Fang Foom. Because they did that a lot with Iron Man 3. They were like, human representation of this character. They had to fix Ben Kingsley's Mandarin at first. Yeah, it made me mad because I really wanted him to be the Mandarin.
Yeah. But then I actually like him as Trevor now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's entertaining as Trevor. He's absolutely adorable.
I was kind of like mad, and now I'm like, you're kind of funny, So, well,
but now we got dragons. So
now we got they've opened the door. There's like, we got mysticism. We can do it now. We can get away with it.
We're gonna bring things back, so trust me.
Right. All right. So here we go with the main topic of the show. the Batman.
That music, man.
That's a dramatic intro right there.
That score's gorgeous.
That's the music I want to have after I come out of the bathroom from Gotham. You know, like boom, 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 boom. Like, yeah.
There's so many times I'm walking with winter boots on, walking to work, and I'm just playing in my head. I'm like, slow down the walk, make it dramatic.
yeah. This is that music that'll make you act like you're in the movie. Like, and outside people are gonna be looking at it like, what is this nerd doing? Like,
that's the kind of music I used to like to study to in college because it really feels like you're accomplishing something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're like, yes.
You put on that smart.
It's a motivational.
What I call it is the smart people montage music. Like you put that on, and you're like going through and you're studying, and like we're learning.
And I used to use the Conan soundtrack for that too.
Man.
Oh yeah.
So let's start this thing off because obviously a lot of people were having misconceptions because Robert Pattinson had a bad turn dealing with vampires and all that other crap. Sparkle vampires. But at the same time, he's actually a really good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that hurts me so much.
Yeah, and he's gone on record saying he really hated playing that character. So it was enough for me to say, you know what? We did this with Michael Keaton. We did this with Jack Nicholson. We did it with Heath Ledger. We did it with Christian Bale. Let's give this
did it with Ben Affleck.
A chance. Even with Ben Affleck, and every last one of them performed well past expectation. And this movie is one of those representations. Grounded Geek, let's start with you.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, I couldn't wait to post on Facebook that Robert Pattinson is the Batman we need, right? And like that's what they were talking about at the end of the Nolan films. This is the Batman we were waiting for. I mean, he's been followed around by his Twilight past, and people haven't really given him a chance in all the other. He's been in so many other films. He's quite a prolific and well respected actor in the field. But people just immediately want to go to Twilight, like and I know that's got to be disappointing for him. But he, I had my doubts. I had my doubts about Ben Affleck, who I think was a great Batman in some bad movies. But I mean, what can you do? It's not his fault. I thought he was a good Batman, but dude, like he was so good, and the fact that this is the second year of Batman, of him being Batman, and Bruce is still dark and kind of emo a little bit, because he's still trying to, he says in the trailer, I'm vengeance, right? Like he's all about like avenging things instead of, kind of being the hero that the city needs, which, he needs to learn that lesson, right? So he's a little dark in it, but he's just fantastic. I thought he was great. Yeah.
And I believe that, even Andy Serkis, who is playing Alfred, and didn't outshine him. And he's just like, I'm kind of really on the sidelines, and I don't know what to do with this kid at this point because it was like, all I can do is let him do it, but I have to hold him back long enough so he doesn't kill himself, And you're right. We're getting a year 2 Batman. He's still very broody. He's not this big buff Ben Affleck style Batman that we were so used to seeing from other films. And it worked. And here's the other thing. We finally got a detective. Jay Rich, you go.
I can't stand nerds sometimes because the whole Robert Pattinson thing irked me the most because it's crazy because it was like, do you guys watch movies? Because like Robert Pattinson's been in so many movies where he played a villainous type who had a lot of money, like so when they were like, he's gonna play like Bruce Wayne Batman, I'm like, Yeah, he's probably gonna be like a dark, like Bruce Wayne. And look who he got, like, you know, because I mean, he's worked with Chris Nolan for so many movies. Like, you know, he was in Inception, he was in Tenet. Like, people forget this stuff. Like, Cosmopolis. He was a Bruce Wayne in that. Like, he literally lived in a limo just being that bull. Like, like, I'm just like, how are we not seeing reading the tea leaves, people? Like, and finally, we finally got to see what Batman looks like as a smart person. Like, because real talk, there's never been a time in any of these movies, even the Adam West one, and that's the closest one that had the
computer thing going on. Yeah.
And we haven't had any iterations where it was let him be this great detective they always call him. He just comes in and just punches everybody terribly most of the time, except for the one Affleck scene in Batman v Superman.
Oh God, that's a beautiful scene. That's still a gorgeous scene.
Come to life, you know. But this, I like this because it was what I said in my review. I was like, it's L.A. Confidential, it's Saw, it's Seven, starring the Crow, you know, as Batman.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Right, like that's what it was. And when I described it to other people, they couldn't understand it. With like when I was talking to like other friends who haven't gotten a chance to see it, they were like, "We heard that you saw it. What'd you think?" And I was like, "It was like Saw and Seven starring the Crow." And they're like, "It's not your regular Batman movie." And they're like, "I don't get what you're saying." Like, because we've never gotten a Batman like this before.
Right.
Like this is a thriller, like a killer thriller, like
there was so much. The cinematography, the score, oh God, the Batmobile was beautiful.
Yeah,
but the cinematography, the shots, there were some shots, that were just gorgeous.
And we're not doing any spoiler talk in this, right? Are we?
I'm debating.
See, this is going to turn into like a 3-hour video now. And I'm supposed to go take my nephew on the first 18th. Like,
I'll probably do like a full spoiler thing in about a week or so.
Yeah.
I
got to. Okay. Well, I was just going to say, I agree. So Seven and Saw were exactly what was running through my head while I was watching it as well. And there's very much a noir atmosphere when it started too, you know what I mean? And I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for. And they're investigating a murder. Like this is real. So yeah, it's got the detective, it's got the noir, it's got the serial killer angle, but it still had those tremendous like action set pieces that you expect in a superhero movie. Like it had it all. Like all of it is in this movie. And everyone was complaining about No Way Home not getting nominated for an Oscar because of how popular it was. Well, I mean, it was popular, but is it an Oscar winner? This might be, or at least a nomination. There's performances and cinematography in this movie. I mean, Martin Scorsese, this is a superhero film, my friend.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me again how superheroes aren't films. This one is.
It's a.
You can take Batman out of it, and it'd still be a good film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
you can literally just put a nut job in all black and just have him be like it could be a Private Eye.
Yeah.
And it would still work as a movie.
I mean, here's the we finally see the Gotham that we always hear about. The gloom, the doom, even the mansion Bruce was in. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's like a haunted house in here. Like,
I was waiting for Dracula to come down the stairs. In one of the scenes.
It was massively gothic, but it was. I'm like, I'm not even mad at this because it's like, what's going on? And the fact that like there's a scene where Alfred's trying to get him to go to the meeting. He's like, why are they coming here? He's like, because I can't get you to go there. You know, I can't.
Yeah.
So it's like it was so much going on. Colin Farrell.
Oh, I mean, unrecognizable.
Yo, I was sitting there the whole friggin' movie
Absolutely.
trying to see where I could find Colin Farrell in that makeup, and I was like, they must have recast.
It's unbelievable.
This is insane.
The stuff they're putting together, like I said, the prosthetics they had on this guy, I'm just like, man, we are actually living in a time where they can fool us.
Yeah.
You know,
that's scary, man.
Because when they showed even the still shots, like when they were promoting this thing, I'm like, that's not Colin Farrell. And I'm looking, I'm like, side by side picture. I'm like, we're talking about Bullseye Colin Farrell, right? That's not the same guy.
Handsome, chiseled jaw, you know, like all this stuff. And then they're like, here's this overweight, scarred, like monster of a man that's a monster. And I'm like, who's balding? And I'm like,
and he didn't wear the typical penguin look.
Yeah, he didn't look. You know, he looked like kind of like the Arkham, like he was inspired by the Arkham game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A
lot of this
have a grittiness that this movie had.
All of this felt like Arkham, right? When my daughter and I were coming home, she's like, when they were doing the detective stuff, I felt like we were playing the game. And I'm like, that's right.
Exactly. I was like, oh, we solving a puzzle. So I was with one of the senior writers from Cinema Blend. He's a good homie of mine. So we were there at a press only event, and we were just talking to each other, like solving the riddles. Like Batman, like a pack of nerds. We're like, this is the answer. And then when it was the answer, we're like, but then they catch you with a couple twists.
Big time.
Like, they hit you at least with 3 twists that I was like, huh. Well, dip me in dog doo-doo. I was not expecting that. Like,
the reason it's 3 hours is because you think it's going to end, but it didn't. There's a twist, and it's not one of those where I'm like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? Like, why? You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, what's happening now? Let's see where are we going.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I got on the edge of my seat when they did one of the like midway to third act twists. I ended up sitting up because I was chilling, enjoying the movie. Like, this is a great movie. This is a great movie. Here it is. Wait a minute. What? And then I sat up and I like got serious and started looking at I was uncomfortable at that point. I had to just stare at the theater and was like, all right, where are we going with this? Let's go, baby. Yeah. Like,
right. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Now, this is a relationship that really progressed. I really impressed by this is the vibe this whole film gave me. It gave me Arkham video game vibes. It gave me Long Halloween vibes.
Yes.
You know, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, all of this feels great. And I'm just standing there, and then it didn't help. I'm watching it in IMAX, so my eyes are all over the screen. I'm just like, I don't see anything wrong, and I love it. You know,
yeah,
it was just so much going on. The set pieces, like you said, Jeff, the set pieces were beautiful. The score was gorgeous. Like and this is not spoiling it, but the scene that they show when the car chase scene.
Oh my gosh, I love that car chase. Oh my gosh.
How fun was that car chase?
Best one I've seen in a long time.
You know, it's been what the last good car chase I've seen outside of the wackiness of like the Fast.
Right.
Was maybe like the Italian Job.
Yeah. I mean the car chase. Where it was
just like regular cars just doing regular car stuff.
Sure.
He blows through that tanker. And during this explosion, I'm like, that is so freaking Batman right now. And Payne was like, I got you. And I'm like,
that was so great.
No, you don't have him. And then he gets out and they're playing the score as he's walking. I'm like, that score is ingrained in my brain now because the walk up. And then when he bends down and looks at him.
It remind me of like something you would see in the hood, like from Boondocks with like a pimp named Slickback. Like he was looking like, and what are you gonna do now? Like it was so good. But I liked how they introduced the Batmobile.
Yeah.
And not going too much into details, but it was scary.
It was.
It was like there was
We're
the
not
first
talking
time I
the
looked at a
Tumbler neither.
Batmobile and I was like, that's not good. We gotta go. Like, you know, like if I was a criminal in Gotham and I saw this Batmobile,
It was
I'd
the
like,
taunt. It was the taunt for me when they start that. It was the taunt for me when he starts
that
it up.
engine, man, that engine
And I-
has
and like-
serious power
But
to it.
he did a stop start type of thing, and I'm like, don't tell me this thing stalled on him.
That's what I thought too. I'm like, what just happened?
No, see, I knew what he was doing.
That was the
he was
taunt.
scaring him. He was,
Yeah.
he was, you know what he did? He jumped at him like he was about to fight him with the car. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, "What you gonna do?" Like,
Like,
you know, like,
Make you
super
flinch.
flinching. You
And
know,
then it
like
worked.
and I was like, wow, this is the first time. Like most times, the Batmobile is like, wow, cool, awesome, or wow, that's ridiculous. That's just a tank on a roof. You know, like.
Yeah.
But like this time, I'm like, that's like it reminded me of the Wraith.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like here's this demon vehicle.
That's a callback. Oh my gosh.
Listen,
That's
I
good
love
stuff
that
right
movie.
there.
Love
Yeah.
my movies.
I used to watch that 100 times on basic cable back in the
I
day.
was in love with that car.
Yeah.
Right. And when that car showed up, you just saw the silhouette of it facing forward. And then you would see like mist or fire or it was always something to just give it that silhouette. And then that's what you see. You see that silhouette. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was like, ooh, that's a muscle car. Okay. Okay.
Made you sit up in your seat a little bit. You're like,
yeah, I got a little tough. I was like, ooh. Then they showed the back end of it, and they still gave you your flame. But that flame was like from a jet engine. I was like, what is that? What starship is that from?
Exactly. It was something, you know, Matt Reeves, fantastic job. Fantastic job. I don't know what we would have gotten had Ben Affleck stayed on. I'm sure it's not this. But this,
I do have an idea of what
it's probably close, but
it would have been cool. Because their plan was to do something like The Raid, but with Batman. It was all going to take place in Arkham. Joker was at the bottom floor, had taken over Arkham, just like kind of like in the games. Batman was going to be on the roof and just Batman his way down, taking on all his...
That's like, the phrase. Batman his way down. Yeah. That's the phrase.
And he was going to take on...
Batman used as a verb.
Yeah, Batman is a verb. Like, Batman, like, what do you do? I'm Batmaning right now. And what he was going to do was take on his rogues gallery as he goes down the different levels. Just like in The Raid, where the officers went up the levels, and they copied it when they did Dredd, where they went into the apartment complex and went up.
Still,
I would have been okay with that.
Just some great pieces. The backstory of stuff that gets revealed.
Fantastic.
I'm literally like, yes. Oh my God. You know, it's like this happened. And then it got so much deeper than that. It wasn't just like one thing. It was like a multitude of things. And you're just like, Jesus Christ.
And there were even hints in there if you happen to be a Batman fan, which this movie's for everyone, not just people who love Batman necessarily, but if you're like really into Batman, like you mentioned, you saw Long Halloween, you saw, you know, shades. There were shades of Hush. There were shades of
yes.
I love it. I was just about to say that. You are a great man.
That's part of the twist. To me, some of the twists were, are these characters who I think they are? Like, are they going to tell, you know? And I won't say anything about what happens, obviously, but that there was. You think you know what's going on, and then they show little hints of things that you're like, wait a minute, is this something else? Is this? So they kept even fans guessing, right? Like even fans were like, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that's, to me, that's like, I mean, it's hard to do, right? Because we all have in our head what's going to happen.
Because we've read all the books, we've seen all the cartoons, we played all the games, and the fact that like I love the Hush storyline. That's like one of my. I know everybody's got Long Halloween. I have a weird thing for Hush. One also Jim Lee.
That's because Hush was really freaking good. It
was awesome.
Hush was hype. Like I really liked Hush. So like it gave me Long Halloween, and I was hoping somebody else would bring that up. Is like there was a point where I was talking to my friend, and we were like, "Wait, is this Hush?" Like, like we literally were just like, "Wait a second."
They keep you guessing. They definitely did.
So it's a little bit of what they gave you is a little bit of all the greatest stories of the Batman like mythos,
and it melded together very, very well. Paul Dano as the Riddler. I didn't know I needed this type of Riddler. I didn't know
Riddler was an average character until I seen this movie. And I was like, wow, I really like the Riddler now.
yeah, right.
So
like,
good.
This was the most. I'm like, and obviously when they make these transference from page to screen, there's some changes. Obviously, they can't have the bright, gaudy colors all the time. It doesn't really work all the time.
Right.
This is one of those things where you're just like, is this the standard now for the Riddler? Sign me up. Like because it was. I never thought I would see somebody so. Yes, it was Jigsaw. I never thought I would see something so creepy. And so, like when the opening scene, and you're just like he's breathing heavy and he's looking, but I'm like very just off. And you're like, dude, this is weird. Like, dude, you're weird. Like, and not in a good way, weird. It is so off. And you could tell that scene with the who was it, the first one? The mayor. It was the mayor. And you could tell when he's doing this thing and the weapon flies out of his hand. I'm like, okay, you're obviously a little inexperienced in that realm. But with everything else,
well, without spoiling anything, even the things you thought were inexperienced are very intentional. He's
right.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to come together again to do a spoiler talk because there was stuff about the fact that the first scene ties to the last scenes, to the middle scenes, like Jeff's kiss from the heavens, my friend. Like,
it was fantastic.
I couldn't have been more impressed with the way the whole cast was being played.
Everyone brought their A game. Everyone brought Jeffrey Wright as Gordon.
I mean, he's Gordon for me now.
That is the best.
He was so good.
They showed this scene in like one of the like minute clips that they do lit out, but when he's sitting there, he's talking to him. And he's trying to make it seem like in front of the rest of the officers that he's trying to cut the Batman out.
That was so good.
He's like, I need to get you out of here. But he's making this face, making it seem like he's cussing him out and staring him down. And then Batman punches him. And then when they meet up later, he's like, you could have pulled your punch.
Batman's like, I did.
Right.
Just stuff like that. And that's, you know what? Because so many of the other movies, not necessarily the Nolan movies, but especially Marvel superhero movies, they really, really rely on the comedy. They really rely on that stuff coming up here and there. And when Batman, you can't do that so much. But there were several moments in this movie where they did, throw a little joke in there, kind of, and it was, but it felt appropriate, like it fit, like the tone. It didn't interrupt the tone. Like it was great. And you mentioned, you mentioned Zoe Kravitz earlier. Yeah. And my biggest concern coming into this movie was we got Batman, we got Catwoman, we got Penguin, we got Riddler. How many movies with that many villains have been good?
Exactly.
Not necessarily villain. Batman's not a villain, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whenever you do that, something suffers, right? Because you can't give enough to one of the characters. You know what I mean? Like something always suffers. Somebody does not get their due. This movie, like, seamlessly made everybody. And I thought Catwoman in this might mess it up. Not because of Zoe Kravitz, she's great, but just having her, I'm like, oh my gosh, is it too much to also throw that in there? No, it was not. Like, they handled that relationship so well that I'm like, that's how you do Batman and Catwoman. Like, that was fantastic.
It was just the right amount of flirtatious and kind of reserved and kind of confused and like
and antagonistic towards each other. Still,
it was so much, but it was just enough that I'm like,
they could have ruined it. They could have ruined that. Like
it was such a fine line, and they nailed it so well. And I'm like, this is beautiful.
And some of the things I saw that was kind of annoying is like people going like, "Oh, is she gonna be like Halle Berry or is she gonna be like Eartha Kitt?" I'm like, she's like,
gonna be Zoe Kravitz.
She's gonna be Zoe Kravitz, right?
She's gonna bring her own take to it, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, she was great,
and it was awesome. Like the fact that there wasn't a bad character. Like I can't sit down and go like, I didn't like that. And there was even a post-credit in movie scene.
Right.
Yeah.
That I was like, huh. Yeah. How about that?
I said the same. I was like,
this feels like a post-credit scene, but we just gonna put it in the movie just to get at you, right? Okay. All right.
I will say, I think by the third time, the Door twins.
Yeah.
By the third, I started laughing.
Those guys are hilarious.
By that time, I was just like, Jesus Christ, just let the guy in.
Right? Like, just stop it. And like that, but I loved like the person. Here's one thing that brought a thing that I really enjoyed about the movie. For the first time, Gotham felt like it had a personality.
Yes.
Now, it had one in the series Gotham because it was about the people of Gotham. And you had seasons to do this.
To build it out.
When it comes to a movie, a lot of times, Gotham is a set, like I said in my review, that it's a set piece. Gotham is a set piece for Batman and whatever villain at the moment to scrap and dance at.
Yeah.
But part of the story was the heartbeat, the life of what made Gotham Gotham. And when that and all like unravels and everything, you're just like, oh, wow, like, Gotham, like, ooh, Gotham, you nasty. Like,
I will say that this suit that Robert Pattinson, it is the most functional suit I have ever seen. And it's something about that collar that connects. That
can actually turn his head.
That, oh my God, it looked good. And I'm like, you know, at first glance, if you have no clue, you're just like, where does he keep all these gadgets? This makes sense. All of this, even his grappling hook being attached inside the wrist of his gauntlets made sense.
The batarang
made sense.
The two batarang.
All of it made sense. I'm like, yeah, of course he will walk in almost to the hilt like a soldier.
Yeah, those combat boots he's wearing too. Like that's. And was it just me, or did they make it? Did they give him a little bit of a spur sound when he was walking in from the shadows?
Yeah. Oh no! See, that was the thing I was going to bring up. I was going to bring that up.
I could hear that Boba Fett spur going on there. So.
What I liked about it, when you pay attention to it, go and I know we all gonna watch it again. I am too. He walked. You heard his footsteps before you saw him, like a serial, like a killer, like Jason You know what I mean? Like you would hear Jason walking around, or Michael Myers walking around, but you can't see him. You're like I feel like I thought I was a naked white girl coming out of a shower. I was like, oh my god, Billy, where are you? Stop playing around, Batman. And then like he would just come out of the shadows and destroy someone.
Him walking into these scenes, these crime scenes, the tone and just how slow, like he was taking it in, but the dramatic effect and how the rest of the GCPD was looking at him, they were just like, I don't know whether to stop him or get mad at Gordon. And then the one guy was like, hey, you can't come in here. I'm like,
did you just put your hand on Batman's chest? Like, I don't think I would ever do that.
and the way Batman would look at people when they would do stuff like that, he was like, I wish you would. You're like, touch me again. See what I mean?
Right.
Like, go ahead. I dare you. Because he was unhinged. And I love that because they showed his trauma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was part of what made him, for this Batman, his trauma made him Batman. It wasn't just, it wasn't the bats. You know, it was like, like it was the actual trauma. And I was like, that's really dope.
It was. There was just so much that was put together with this thing, and it was an absolute mind-blowing event. And I have to commend Matt Reeves and the cast, and because I'm going again this weekend. That's just what it is, you know. And
I'm literally staring at the clock, like making sure I have time to
we're getting ready to get you out of here, so
and then run off to go see it again.
But out of 5, I'm giving this a 5 out of 5 because I couldn't even try to find something wrong.
No.
Because I'm just like, this is what we were looking for. We got a detective, we got this crime noir feel, we got these perfect relationships, we got a Penguin that looks absolutely fantastic in makeup and design.
And real. And believable. He's the first realistic looking Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not doing the rah, 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 rah. He's not running around with the cigarette. Even though it's very classic and it's very near and dear to our hearts, it worked. It worked, you know, and bringing in the Falcones and the Maronis. And I'm like, yes, all of this.
Like all of Gotham existed at this time. It wasn't just like, because in the other Batman iterations, whenever there was a main villain of the movie or whatever, the rest of the Rogues Gallery and other existing things didn't really exist. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, let's focus on this character, this villain, or whatever, these two villains, whatever. But, like, you could see that Gotham had a life. Like, even when Batman was dealing with one issue, there were other issues going on because Gotham never sleeps. You know, like,
that was the best part. Like the whole opening sequence where he's like they have a signal now, but it's not just a signal, it's a warning. And so they just, you know, we see all these bad people doing bad things around town, and then they see that and they're looking and jumping at shadows all of a sudden because he's like, he says, I can't be everywhere. It's just like you're saying. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, he can't. Like, Gotham's still falling apart, but he's doing, you know, he can't clean it all up. He can't do it by himself.
Everybody shook because they're like, I don't know if he's in that shadow looking.
Yeah.
And then they would hear like a trash can fall over or something. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to church. I'm no more crime. Like,
I should have known better. My mama told me not to do this.
The whole narrative
should have been home before the lights, you know, came on.
Definitely. Before the street lights come on, you're supposed to be home. Yeah. The narration parts at the beginning and at the end where he's talking, totally. I mean, I don't know about you, but I saw the little square in the comic book page with each of these pieces unfolding I mean, I saw a comic book in what they were doing. It was, I mean, yeah, that part, I got goosebumps during the whole opening.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was probably, and I know we consistently say this every time a new Batman film comes out, but this is the bat we needed. Congratulations. You've hit the mark.
Go see it because it needs to make $1 gazillion so that DC will realize this is the Batman that people want, that we want more of this. Yeah. I gotta see, if Matt Reeves doesn't do a second movie, then it's criminal.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, you can't leave me with all that. And all that setup for, because you built Gotham so well that there's more to this story of who Batman is and all this other stuff. Like, there's so much more.
Hey, what's happening?
I can't right now.
But it's something we needed. I'm so glad we got this. Kudos to Matt Reeves. Kudos to Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Colin freaking Farrell, Paul Dano, the entire cast and crew. Like
Jeffrey Wright.
Jesus, every time this man shows up on screen on anything, he impresses me. And now you are now Commissioner Gordon. I'm sorry, J.K. Simmons, but this is Commissioner Gordon. You can keep
J.K. is J.J. Yeah, that didn't work for me.
You stay J.J.
Baby. Come back tomorrow. Where you belong.
So let's get it. We're getting ready to get out of here. We're going to give our people a send off. Jay Rich, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yo, you can check me out on IG at official J1 Studios, because we also got that, and we got my game that's out, VT Heroes on IG, and I'll be doing a Nintendo Direct for J1 Studios, a J1 Studios keynote announcing new games and projects that is going to be coming underneath animations and all that good stuff. Like, I'm out here making anime and games and comics. Come on, come at me.
Oh man, Grounded Geek, thank you for coming on.
No man, thanks for having me. It's been a while. I feel like we haven't talked.
We text more than we get a chance to
I know, right? we need to have you back on our show. You know, we haven't seen you in a while, so.
Oh, I'm open.
But yeah, we do a show every Sunday night, 7 p.m. on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, simulcast, and then it drops as a podcast the next day. You can find us pretty much anywhere as @WorldGoneGeek. So.
All right.
Good times.
Man, this has been a great episode. And we'll be doing a full spoiler probably within a week. But be sure to check us out everywhere you can find a link tree, everything. Here, let me get that up there. There we go. All right. So you can check out Blurred's Eye View on IG, Facebook, Blurred's Eye View podcast. Just check for the link tree in the IG page. You can also catch me, Chris Fury 1 on TikTok, Chris.Fury1 on IG. On TikTok, I have just started. Well, I'm probably a good portion of way in now. Cartoon theme songs that live rent free in your head. People are loving this thing. I don't know how long I'll be doing that before I start going the character breakdowns, but people are really responding to it. They're responding to the Motivational Mondays that I drop every Monday, and so much more. So with that, I want to thank our guest, Jay Rich from official J1 Studios, Grounded Geek from World Gone Geek. And as we do with every show, thank you for everyone for tuning in and showcasing their talents, skills, and talking topics as only we can. And until next Tuesday and Thursday, when we talk geek with other Blurred members and Blurred allies, remember to entertain yourself and others, educate yourself and others, and most of all, encourage yourself and others. And on that note, we are ready out of here.